So anyway, a warm welcome to everybody to Campden Gallery and the opening of Lewis Noble's exhibition. Lewis Noble's here, and as promised on the invitation, he's going to talk about his work. And then I presume he'll be quite happy to answer questions. Your questions during or after?
I'm quite happy for people to ask me questions as we go.
Right, well there we are. Welcome, Lewis.
Thank you. Oh, well, it's very nice to see everybody. It's great. That's lovely. So this collection of work is all brand new, and it's work I've been working on, I guess, most of this year. I was up in Northumberland in February, did a lot of sketching and painting up there. I was in Amsterdam towards the end of last year, and I was working up there. And there's also some work based on the waterfalls at Lumsdale in Derbyshire. The idea for the series of paintings kind of developed as I was going along, which is how I tend to work. I'd start trying to find something that's going to inspire my kind of imagination and get me going. And as I was doing the work based on the canals in Amsterdam, which is like that big one behind you, I started getting this idea about the transitions between different types of landscape. So there's where the land meets various forms of water. So there was the land and the canals. And when I was up in Northumberland with the coast and the more dramatic seascapes where the coast meets the sea. And I was thinking about the landscape where the waterfall meets the land. So there's all these kind of transitions between different types of landscape. And there's a few, and I suppose you could think about the transition where the sky meets the land in some ways. So that's really the theme behind this work. So it's kind of broken into three sections in a way. There's the kind of Amsterdam canal paintings, and there's the Northumberland seascapes, and then there's the Lumsdale waterfalls. So there's mostly, I have to say, it turned out there was mostly the seascapes. I think really that was because I started off with this idea in my head about where I wanted to go. And I think when you're working, you just have to go with what feels right at the time. So I just drew a huge amount of inspiration from that part of the landscape because it's not somewhere I'd been before. So it was very dramatic, just really exciting. I did quite a lot of sketching, painting out on the coast, just sitting there with the waves crashing. And just really exciting, and it just kind of really got me going, thinking I've got so many different things I can do with this, and I just feel like I've kind of scratched the surface at the moment already. So for those of you who don't know my kind of working practice, the way I work is I go out and paint direct from the landscape, and I do lots of rapid gestural mark-making type paintings and drawings, and really just trying to grab information while I'm there, grab a sense of the atmosphere, spend time actually in the landscape as well. I think that's one of the most important parts of doing drawing and painting outside, is to actually spend time in the landscape, and that time spent is, you just force yourself to look, is that drawing becomes a way of looking, and the more you draw, the more you look, and the more you paint, the more you see, and so the ideas just start to develop like that. So then I take all those very gestural drawings and paintings, and I take them back to my studio, and then I tear them up, I recompose them, I play around with them, and I'm really trying to separate the processes of looking and getting information and thinking. So when I'm outside sketching, I try not to think, I just try to get what's there, grab what's there, get information down, and just not even think about it, not try and make pictures, not try and even think about composition in a way. Just leave all that to when I get back to the studio, because I've often found that when I'm out painting, even if I'm doing finished work outside, you never really know what you've got until you get back. So sometimes you'll have a day and you go, wow, that was great, I had a really good session out there, fantastic painting. You get back to the studio and you go, not so good. And then the other side of that is, of course, sometimes you don't think you've got anything, and you get back and you go, actually, there's some good stuff in here, I can work with that. So over the years, I've just kind of developed this way of working where I don't think about it, don't put pressure on it while I'm outside. Just get it and then get back to the studio. And then when you've got that bit of calm separation between having something in front of you and being in the studio and actually just seeing what you've got from it and just looking at the work and being able to react to that and separate it from the actual subject. I find that a much more useful way, but I think I can work more creatively that way. It's very difficult to come up with creative, interesting arrangements when I'm sitting with the landscape right in front of me. I'd much rather just kind of soak it in, get some stuff down and think about it afterwards. So that's what I do. There are actually a few pieces here that works on paper behind glass. Now those are pieces that I've done in that way. I've gone out, I've made all the mark making, and then I've taken them back and recomposed them, edited them down, and I like to think of it in a way of like a filmmaker will make a movie. They'll shoot hundreds of hours of material, and then you kind of just edit it down and down and down until it gets to a point where it's got to the essence of it. So that's the kind of work I do in order to use those to do work in the studio. So that's what I do. I've got sketchbooks. I should have brought some with me really. I've got like stacks of sketchbooks which are full of these small paintings, collages, drawings, and I use those in the studio to then do the work on canvas and board or whatever that takes a bit longer. Because what I really like to do with the work in the studio is build up lots of layers of paint, and I really like the surface of the paintings to get really quite deep and interesting. And so I might find a series of sketches that I've been to a particular place, and I'll say, okay, it'd be really nice to have a series of paintings that looked a bit like that, but then I don't just try and scale up in an individual sketch. I will use them as a beginning, use those sketches as a starting point, and then allow the paintings to kind of develop in their own right, so that they become something other than the sketches. They're not the real landscape, they're not the sketches, they're kind of something else, and in a way I hope they kind of stand in for the experience of being in the landscape, so that when you're standing in front of one of the paintings, you're getting back some of that feeling of the actual landscape. And so really that's my working practice, and what I'm really trying to get across, I think, is that sense of being outside, a feeling of scale and movement, and that the paintings are things that are still happening. They're not snapshots, frozen moments in time. I like to think they've actually got time in them, that the time is taken to do them. The sketches, the collages that I work from, and the actual paintings themselves kind of contain that time, so that when you're looking at the paintings, they're still happening in a way.